as a financial advisor, at the end of the day, you have one job to do, so don't screw it up. I'm Matthew Jarvis. I built a $2 million a year RIA practice, which I recently exited for 8 figures. And now I make videos like these to help advisors like you match or duplicate or even exceed my success and hopefully avoid some of the many mistakes that I made along the ways. And one of the mistakes I made again and again, and I see constantly from advisors, is making this one big mistake, which is forgetting what their core job is. And it's not taxes, and it's not investing, and it's not even financial planning per se. It's coming into a meeting with confidence and making recommendations with confidence. Now, this ties to taxes, and this ties to estate planning, this ties to financial planning, but it applies to everything. So if a client comes in, let's use a very specific example, and says, Mrs. Advisor, I'd like to pull out $100,000 to buy an RV to travel around the country. You, as the advisor, need to have a very specific answer for that. Doesn't have to be off the cuff. The answer might be, you know what, I'm going to need to do some math on that, and I'll get back to you, but it sounds like a lot of fun. What it can't be is, well, it's really going to depend on the markets, I guess. I have to be very specific. The answer is either yes, you can do it, or no, it will jeopardize your financial goals, or something else, but I'm going to be very specific. Another variation of that would be, hey, I need to take out $100,000. From which account should I take it? Now, I might walk through the pros and cons of different accounts from which they could take the $100,000, if we should take it from bonds or equities or cash. But at the end of the day, I'm going to say, hey, we have several options. There's pros and cons to each option. My recommendation is X. Now, as an advisor, you might find yourself in a scenario where option A and option B weight out equally, where they have the equal number of pros and cons. In that case, you're welcome to tell the client, Mr. and Mrs. Client, both options, A and B, will work out really well, but I have to give them a recommendation. Even if I'm proverbially flipping the coin and just saying, hey, option B is the one we're going to go with, I always have a recommendation, and I always do it with complete confidence. Now, what if you don't have confidence? Well, you need to get it. And there's 2 ways to get confidence. One is through a lot of practice, a lot of books, watching videos like this, learning from others. The other way is to find someone whose confidence you can borrow, right? A mentor, a coach, someone who you could ask, hey, what would you do in this situation? Now, it needs to be someone that you trust. For example, my good friend and co-founder, Micah Shalansky, when I have business planning questions, when I have advanced tax questions, when I have strategic legal questions, I'll go to Micah and I'll say, hey, Micah, I've got this situation. What would you recommend here? Now, Micah is incredibly knowledgeable, far more than I am. And so if he says, hey, Jarvis, this is what I would do, again, notice the confidence there. Even if I don't totally understand it, but I trust Micah's confidence, I can go back to the client and say, my recommendation is X. With confidence. What I will not do is go back to the client and say, well, it's kind of, and again, using this example, if Micah gives me a recommendation that I don't have confidence in his confidence, then, which is rare, I would need to find someone else in whom I have perfect confidence. This works for guardrails, it works for Roth conversions, it works for estate planning, it works for life insurance, whatever the case may be. I either need to find my own confidence or find confidence that I can borrow from someone else such that I can go to a client and say, this is the path. Now, let's use one last comparison as we wrap up this video. Imagine that you've got some kind of health issue and you go to the doctor and you say, doctor, I got this terrible pain in my side. And the doctor says, I don't know, it could be appendicitis. It could just be a tummy ache, or it could be a blocked, obstructed bowel. What do you think, patient? What do you mean, what do I think? I came here because I need to know what you think. Okay, well, let's say it's appendicitis. We could see if it just sorts itself out. We could try some antibiotics, or we could remove the thing. Like, what would you like to do? Again, in this scenario, you're thinking this is absurd. Like, sometimes I take these things to the absurd just because it helps me understand them. Imagine I'm on a plane and I'm flying somewhere. I fly all the time. Bunch of turbulence. The pilot comes on the phone. Hey, patients, passengers. This is pilot Dan, and we've got some turbulence, and there's this blinky red light on the screen here. I'm not really sure what it does. I'm pretty sure we'll get it figured out. If there's any pilots on board, I'd love to talk to them. Yeah, thanks, this Captain Dan. That's not going to go well. I have to bring in confidence, and if I'm not confident, I've got to find it from somewhere else. If you're looking for somewhere else to find confidence, be sure to check out the rest of the videos on this channel. Check out my book, Delivering Massive Value, The Financial Advisor's Guide to Having a Wonderful Practice. And until next time, happy planning.